The home of Odin was a bright realm of Asgard that served as the abode for all the Aesir until the end of all things. The Aesir were the children of Odin and Frigga and were loved and revered by all mortals save a few exceptions. Hello and welcome to the third video of Norse sagas where we introduce the prominent Aesir and talk about their roles in the events to come. We will encounter each of them in greater detail in the coming videos, but this video will serve to introduce them to the listeners. After Odin the All-Father, the most powerful of the Aesir was the mighty Thor. The red-haired god would be known by many names, chief among them being the Thunderer and the Smiter, for he carried his famed hammer called the Mjolnir, or the Destroyer. The hammer has a few great tales of its own, but it was, by all means, one of the most powerful weapons described in Norse myths. Not just powerful, but also the heaviest that somehow managed to return back to Thor after smiting its target. Over times, Thor fought many valiant battles and challenged the strongest of Jotun with his famed hammer. He even managed to lose it once, leading to a rather comical but important chain of events. Thor had a voracious appetite and could drink up to 3 barrels of mead after fully consuming an ox while celebrating in his hall named Bilskirnir. This greatest of halls was located in the Field of Strength in Asgard and had 540 rooms. Thor had a wife named Sif who loved all things that grew in the fields, for she was after all the goddess of wheat fields. Her hair was long and golden and shimmered and shone like spun gold that Thor loved very much. Thor had 2 sons named Modi and Magni, whose name meant bravery and greatness, and they looked much like their father. The 2 sons are one of the few gods who managed to survive Ragnarok itself. The next god to be famous, or infamous, was Loki, who contrary to popular belief was not an Aesir, for he was not the son of Odin, but some sources claim him to be a Jotun. Loki was a shapeshifter and was known to be beautiful and charming, but also very spiteful. Odin, unlike other gods, found his cunningness or resourcefulness to be attractive and invited him to live in Asgard next to the Aesir. Odin in fact made him his blood brother by mixing the blood by cutting their wrists. This would perhaps be one of the greatest mistakes made by Odin, for Loki, the Tainted One, and his dire offsprings would be the bane of Asgard. Loki's first wife was Sigyn, who was kind, merciful and beautiful and lived with him in Asgard. But Loki also married an ogress named Angrboda and had 3 children, each one being more dreadful than the other. The first offspring was a fearsome wolf named Fenrir. The second offspring was a serpent called Jormungandr. And the final child was so evil, Odin had to vanquish her from Asgard to a place that was so foul and deep it took her 7 days and nights to reach its bottom. She entered through the gates of this place called Nidpalir, where a dog named Garm would be chained as a guardian. Hela took after the name of this place where sinners would be tortured and made to build a ship that would carry the army of living dead at the time of Ragnarok. There is much more to the story of children of Loki, and their misdeeds will be discussed in a future video. Tyr the Brave was another Aesir who was the son of Odin, known for his strength and courage. Although not as strong as his brother Thor, his bravery sure did surpass any of the Aesir. An expert swordsman and a battle tactician, Tyr was known as War God, who made one of the greatest sacrifices to prevent the untimely coming of Ragnarok. Heimdall, the ever-watchful guardian of Asgard, lived in his fort on the Rainbow Bridge Bifrost. Known to be ever vigilant, Heimdall could even hear the grass growing far off in another world such as Midgard. When the time of Ragnarok would come, Heimdall would be the first one to sound the war cry by blowing his great horn named Gjallarhorn and by being at the vanguard of the Aesir army. Other notable Aesir is Vidar, who is son of Odin and is tasked in making the greatest boot made from all scrap leather of the world. These boots will aid him to survive Ragnarok itself. Hodor is another Aesir who is blind by birth, and his actions, although non-intentional, mark the events that start the Ragnarok. Finally, the most loved of all gods is Baldur, also known as the Shining One. He was in fact loved by everyone in the creation. everyone except Loki. And this marks the end of the most prominent Aesir who we shall meet in future videos along with other Aesir and Vanir. So join me next time when we explore the short tales that expand the vast world of Norse myths. Until then, farewell.